It's been 2 days since Rodri won the Ballon d'Or over Vinicius Jr., and I'm going to give you my 2 cents about the scandal, the robbery, everything that people have been saying online. Let me talk about it. So before we start, it is important to note that the Ballon d'Or is chosen by journalists. There's a lot of clueless people online that are blaming FIFA or UEFA or even France Football for choosing Rodri as the winner ahead of Vinicius Jr. This is not how it works. FIFA, UEFA, and even France Football have nothing to do with this award, or at least with the voting procedure. France Football elects 100 journalists from the top 100 nations in FIFA's rankings, and each journalist gives you their top 10 footballers of the year. Their number 1 pick gets 15 points. The second place pick gets 12, third place 10, fourth place 8, fifth place gets 7, and then the bottom 5 get 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 respectively. So that's how the voting works, but let's talk about the requirements. What are these journalists basing their votes on? There are 3 requirements that journalists have to keep in mind. You might have heard of these. Number 1, individual performances. Number 2, team achievements, whether that's with your club and nation. And number 3, a very important in this case, fair play and class on the pitch. Now that we got that out of the way, I have to mention, I think Rodri won the Ballon d'Or over Vinicius Jr. because of the 3rd requirement, fair play. But hold up, before you get mad at me and start talking smack in the comments, I do not believe Vinicius Jr. is any different than any other footballer out there, that he's that bad when it comes to fair play. I do believe the media have something against him, because anytime that you see Vinicius Jr. get into a confrontation with an opponent, anytime that you see him waste time or get in the opponent's head, getting into a verbal fight with the opponent, the media shows it and always portrays him as the villain. Now yes, Rodri might be a little bit more of a calm player, but time wasting, getting the opponent's heads, all of this stuff that Vinicius Jr. does on the regularly is stuff that is part of football and has always been part of football. Look at Emiliano Martinez. He's one of the greatest shit talkers of our generation, and he just won back-to-back Gojersey trophies. The only difference is that Vinicius Jr. is always portrayed as the villain in each situation that he's a part of. I didn't want to bring up the race issue, but let me tell you guys, I don't know if the journalists that are voting are racist or not. I like to give the benefit of the doubt, because claiming that someone is racist without knowing for sure is actually a big accusation and should be seen as a big deal. But I do believe that these journalists, just like any of us, have been brainwashed by the media to portray Vinicius Jr. as a bigger villain than he might be. You always see these clips of him fighting rivals or time wasting. Guys, that stuff happens in football all the time, but guess what? You probably see it from Vinicius Jr. a lot more than anybody else. And that is not to say that Vinicius Jr. is not a class player on the pitch. He showed many times respect and fair play. You just don't see it as often because the media might have something against him. Or because showing Vinicius Jr. as the villain does get you clicks, it gets you interactions. So if the media spends a whole year showing you Vinicius as the villain, by the time that these journalists have to vote, they're not going to vote on a player that they hate. And that is why I think Rodri, a more likable player, ultimately got the Ballon d'Or. If you ask me, if it comes down to individual level and team achievements, despite Vinicius Jr. not having a great Copa America, I think he was the best player in the last season, and he should have won it. And I've gone on record way before this happened to say that he would be my winner. But Rodri ended up winning it, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve it. But there you guys have it. My 2 cents in this whole situation is that Vinicius Jr. lost the Ballon d'Or because he's been portrayed as the villain by the media for well over a year. And that's going to affect you whenever journalists, who are people just like us, have feelings, agendas, and biases, and they get to vote against him. So let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments below. I know there's a lot to unpack here, but I'll read all the comments, so let me know what you think. But to end this whole speech about the Ballon d'Or, I want to remind you guys that you can head over to the link in my bio where you can buy yourself a really nice jersey, and they actually have a deal going on where they have free customization to celebrate the occasion of the Ballon d'Or. So you can get yourself a Messi shirt, a Ronaldo shirt, anything that you want, and the customization will be entirely free until the 1st of November. So head over to the link in my bio and get a jersey for yourself.